Two children dead, their mother charged with murder.
And tonight we are learning new details in the case involving Shanna K. Witten and her two children. As we've reported throughout the week, 15-month-old Matthew Witten died last August after a series of injuries and medical intervention. Before him, his 2-year-old sister, Gypsy Rose, died. And that's where we begin tonight. We have obtained the autopsy into how she died. Gabrielle Hernandez has been looking through that report and joins us now with the details.
Yeah, Mike, Rachel, in an autopsy report obtained by 12 News, the death of Matthew's 2-year-old sister was originally ruled accidental. The report from July 22nd of 2024 noted Gypsy Rose Witten Marley was eating from a bowl of grapes when her caregiver went to the restroom and she became unresponsive, adding emergency personnel reportedly removed grapes from the airway, and the girl died in the hospital July 24th. Something important to note, though, in Gypsy's autopsy, a history of previous calls to 911, something we also reported seeing in Matthew's autopsy. Those previous calls included Gypsy's falling and striking her head in the past, and an incident where she was transported to the hospital on July 21st of 2024 after being found unresponsive lying near a plastic bag just one day before the call of the toddler choking. A little more than a year after the death of Gypsy, 15-month-old Matthew Witten died after his mother, Shanna K. Witten, reported that he choked on a meatball. His autopsy ruled a homicide with no food or obstruction found. And a note that Shanna Witten had a history of reported events that caused him to stop breathing and a sibling death under, quote, similar unclear circumstances. The case of Gypsy Rose Witten now reopened.